As I previously reported, a teenage girl named Nook Babiiee viciously assaulted a schoolmate and pushed her younger brother on the ground recently, and all of the action was caught on camera. The video went viral and became a huge topic of discussion on the internet. Of course, the attacker was promptly arrested. Now, seeing that the girl committing the act of violence was quote-unquote black and the victim appeared to be quote-unquote white, people didn't see an act of violence being committed by one person upon another. Thousands upon thousands of Caucasian Americans only saw race, and they made a huge stink about it all. Turns out the girl may actually be mixed. However, the damage by racist Caucasian people has been done, and they're continuing their evil attack on brown people because things have been taken to a whole new level. A level that most people would have never seen coming before. The girl who committed the crime going to jail wasn't enough for the racist people that live here in America. They have now created a racist, poorly written petition and posted the letter on the White House.gov website. Yeah, the White House.gov website. They want to get the government involved with two girls having a schoolyard fight. The petition states, and I quote, so it says, "We petition the Obama administration to," and this is the title of it, "petition to arrest and have charges against the person in this video for racist hate, assault, and assault of a minor." It goes on to say, "The video link below shows the brutal beating and assault of a young lady and her underage son, but I guess they meant to say by a group of people for her being white and being in the wrong part of town. I ask that all the people in this video be convicted of hate crimes, assault, assault with intent, assault of a minor, child endangerment, terroristic threats, and inciting a riot." The video clearly shows a mob attacking a lady and her child, and it was published on March 15th of 2015, and they provided a Facebook link. Okay, so first of all, how do we even know that a hate crime was committed? I mean, the video doesn't show anything that would indicate that. Second of all, this brutal beating couldn't have been too brutal because the victim got up and walked away twice. As for the younger child who was pushed, he was not the girl's child, but rather her younger brother, because the girl was about age 13 herself, just like the attacker. And that act was not carried out by a group of people, but rather a single individual. Individual being the key word here. Okay. No one said anything about this incident taking place because the victim was quote unquote white and on the quote wrong part of town. Once again, completely fabricated information. They went on to demand for all of the people present to be convicted of a multitude of crimes. However, those people did not commit any crimes at all, and at one point, one of the boys who watched the fight broke it up. But that fact was omitted because it doesn't support the completely fabricated fictional narrative concocted by the author. Anyway, back to the list of alleged crimes. The author of the petition says they want the crowd to be charged with hate crimes, yet there is no indication of a hate crime at all. They also want the crowd federally charged with assault, even though they did not assault anyone. They want them charged with assault with intent, whatever that is, but once again, they did not assault anyone. Furthermore, they want all of these people charged with assault on a minor, but for a third time, they did not assault anybody. Also, child endangerment should be added to the already lengthy list, according to the author, despite the fact that they didn't endanger anyone, they merely watched. They upped the ante when they added terroristic threats to the list. First of all, terroristic is not even a word. I guess they meant to say terrorist threats. However, no one threatened anyone in the video. And here's where things go from bad to I know for a fact this person needs to have their head examined, because they said of all things this crowd should be charged with quote inciting a riot, even though there was no riot at all whatsoever. You know, they end off their list of lies by claiming the video quote clearly shows a mob attacking a lady and her child, none of which happened at all whatsoever. I'm contemplating starting a petition to have the person who wrote this arrested They blatantly lied. And if they achieve 100,000 signatures by April 14th of 2015, the government, if I'm not mistaken, is required to get involved. Now, if they reach their goal, I hope they go directly to jail for wasting our tax dollars and falsely accusing people of fabricated crimes. Here's my unfiltered opinion on the matter at hand. They say no matter how bad you think you are, there's always someone badder than you are. And this is why I scoff at cowardly brown people who join gangs, and that includes the military and the police force. I also scoff at any brown person in general who views him or herself as being a quote-unquote badass, because no one can be more destructive to humanity than the European Caucasian people. And this is just another piece of evidence of that fact. This letter is essentially a lengthy list of lies being told to the government just so a scorned person can attempt to get their way. This is the mental illness known as white privilege, and the mental illness known as white supremacy, prominently on display for all of us to see and learn from right here, right now. This person appears to honestly believe that if they merely accuse someone of something, that person, or those people in this case, should face maximum punishment and scrutiny regardless of whether or not the person did anything illegal to begin with. This right here is exactly how brown people, particularly the men, are falsely accused and convicted of crimes they did not commit. This person made a laundry list of claims that are in fact false and known to be false by anyone who watched that video. And still, thousands of fellow racist thugs mindlessly signed this petition. They currently have over 6,000 signatures and counting. As for people standing off to the side and watching people get hurt, that's basically how America as we know it got started. That's essentially the transatlantic slave trade in a nutshell. People sitting back and watching people get destroyed in front of their face for their own sick enjoyment and benefit. Also, images of lynchings come to mind. People watched these actual acts of terrorism being committed for hundreds of years and stood there and took pictures with dead, partially naked people as a souvenir, as if it was just merely a photo opportunity to them. These savages were snapping selfies and laughing. So should those people that watched have been charged with this list of crimes? How about the spectators of the infamous Roman Colosseum? I mean, they watched people fight to the death with lions and humans. Now, I know what some of you are probably thinking right now. Hey man, that's the past. Stuff like that doesn't happen nowadays. Actually, it does. In underground fight clubs everywhere, animal fights such as cockfights and dogfights, snuff films, and of course war. The military has literally made a fortune off of people's lust for blood and greed. And let's not even discuss the UFC or Ultimate Fighting Challenge and the other mixed martial arts competitions. And boxing, of course. People literally shell out hundreds and sometimes thousands of dollars just to watch people beat the Parkinson's into somebody's head. And let's not go there with football. Studies show an average of 12 high school and college football players die a year. And there's a link in my blog for you to read that story if you want to. It's from the New York Daily News. Anyway, Americans sit there and watch the youth ram their heads into each other like wild rams and call that a sport. They ignore the fact that it's violent and destructive and only see it as being a mere game. I have never in my life understood how people could see football as a sport from my perspective. It's not better than any other fight. However, it has been normalized in people's minds, so most Americans don't care to see it for what it truly is. Also, the death penalty is legal in 32 states. These executions are watched by groups of people who actually enjoy watching others suffer and die, much like the author of this disgusting petition. The irony of the fact is the author of this fictional work is calling for people to be harmed by law enforcement, and he even had the audacity to ask the federal government to help him commit the crimes of falsely imprisoning people simply because he doesn't like them. He doesn't agree with something that they did. Now, this petition is calling for the authorities to ruin whole families' lives by sending federal officers to not even investigate, which would be a dumb suggestion in itself, but he wants them to immediately arrest and charge several people with crimes they did not commit under the false claim of video evidence as proof regardless of the fact that said video evidence actually proves them to be innocent of the crimes they are accusing them of. If I didn't understand the mind of white supremacists, I would find this to be very bizarre. And this crazy petition is why I say white supremacy is a mental illness. These people are a bunch of delusional storytellers who just make up elaborate works of fiction as they go along. Just ask that thug George Zimmerman about that. But I will break down his lies another time when I have the time to do so. He'll be in jail again anyway. You know, he'll be in the news soon. Curious George always finds himself in trouble. Anyway, the reason why people like the author of this stupid petition come up with this ridiculous set of lies and other similar fictional things is because they think they are thinking big by going big with their lies. They're not even attempting to make their stories even remotely believable. White supremacy provides them an umbrella of positive perception. They're taken at face value and perceived as innocent, not only until proven guilty, but until they admit to being guilty. That's the key. Because sometimes they can be proven guilty and that won't be enough. They have to actually admit to their guilt for anything to be done. White supremacy is set up in such a way where a white supremacist has to often admit to it, to being a racist, a bigot, whatever you want to call it, for the court of public opinion to find this person guilty in their hearts and minds regardless of evidence. Very often a confession is needed from the offender, and even then society comes to the person's defense and makes up excuses for them and redirects the argument and victim blames the very people the predator attacked. Much like what happened with Don Imus in 2007. He did wrong and rap music got blamed for his actions. But I will break down that clown another time in a nice blog and YouTube video. I just have one question for you. Do you still not know who the most racist people are? Do you really still have to ask yourself that silly question? Let me know what you think about it all below. Be sure to subscribe to the Meat Magazine YouTube channel. Visit meatmagazine.blogspot.com for more. I have some great videos about race coming. They want to make everything about race? You're going to be very sorry when I say what I say. Meat Magazine.